Woo! We are live. Welcome everyone to August Learning with Luce. We are back. We had a bit of a mini break because everyone goes on holiday, right? But we're back, and I'm actually very excited for this one because we get to learn about some stuff that I kind of know about, but not really. So we can all learn together, and that's the whole point of this, right? So I am very excited today to be joined by Abi from Google and also my lovely colleague Mira. And we're going to be learning all about, MongoDB Atlas and how we can use it with Google Cloud Run and all the amazing things that the GCP platform can do. So hi to you both.
Hi, Luce. Thank you.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Chat, how is everyone's day? Jesse's here. Hey, Jesse. Awesome. So, Abi, do you want to do a very quick introduction so our lovely viewers can learn more about you?
Definitely. To follow your energy is going to be difficult, but I'm going to try. My name is Abi. I go by Abi Sukumaran. I'm a developer advocate with Google with about 16, I think, years of experience in mostly hands-on applications development in the data management and data area, predominantly focusing on the Java programming language. Right now, I focus on Google Cloud databases and storage services, working on solutions, experimenting and researching the product, working closely with developers and communities to enhance the experience for the developers as well as the product. And in the process, I get to work with cool people like you, Mira, and that really gets my day going. So that's about it. Over to you, Mira.
Hey there, my name is Stanimira Vlaeva, or simply Mira. That's kind of easier. I'm a developer advocate here at MongoDB. I get to work on a lot of Google Cloud stuff with Abi and some other cool guys and gals from Google Cloud. And yeah, it's really nice to be here today. That's my first learning with Luce experience, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it'll be good. We always like learning things. I see Diego's joined us from Spain as well. Woo! Hola.
Hey, Diego.
Awesome. It's nice when our colleagues show up. It's a very supportive stream. So, what are we going to be talking about first today? Who wants to drop their first knowledge nugget, as I like to call it? Because I understand that you two have previously released some content together. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Mira, if you want, I can get started with the serverless thing, and then you can go over the mean stack.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So basically, what we worked on together and have been trying to work on and bring in multiple experiments in this area is particularly, of course, bringing in MongoDB Atlas serverless instance and Google Cloud Run and other services within Google Cloud as well together. But at the same time, the emphasis is on serverless, building end-to-end 100%, like purely serverless applications from the scratch. Particularly, this one is going to be about the mean stack one that we built. So just to give an overview, as developers, we all want to build applications, quickly get to APIs and deliver background solutions or anything of that sort without having to worry much about writing dependencies, configuring parameters, or configuring resources or provisioning resources, managing, monitoring, whatnot. There's maintainability, reliability, scalability, this and that, security, and all these things that the developer has to keep in mind traditionally. But that's where serverless comes into picture, where you want to build only focus on development, building, and deploying rather than doing all these things that I just mentioned. And even if we talk about serverless, traditionally what we've been doing, if we choose the traditional options, we might be limited with the amount of programming languages or limited by the amount of binaries that you want to choose. So there's always a trade-off. So what we want to do best now is by bringing in the power of Google's Cloud Run and also MongoDB's MongoDB Atlas serverless instances, which can also be accessed from Google Cloud's MongoDB instance, is to deliver this serverless capability at the same time without having, you can bring in any programming language, any binary of your choice, and also in just a quick and easy 4 steps, which we can get to in the course of this session. Quick and easy steps you can get to deploy your containerized application. And also it's 100% serverless because we are using the MongoDB serverless instances that Mira will probably talk about during the session as well. So that's at a high level to introduce.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like serverless because, as you say, it just takes away all the bits that you used to have to do just because you needed to, but they weren't really part of your like end goal of what you wanted to achieve. So serverless is really good for just, paying for what you use and only what you use and just getting set up really quickly.
Yep.
Awesome. So did you want to share anything in particular? Because we can absolutely do a screen share if you like. Oh, we've got more people joining. Awesome. So I've you're able to show us like how we might be able to do this stuff in like Google Cloud? Because personally, I've not really used the Google Cloud platform that much, I must admit. So I'd love to see like how it works.
Definitely, we can get into. I want to show. I have everything ready to. I mean, I was just coincidentally opening it up. I didn't expect to, but I'm ready to show. But before that, I want to set the context and talk about the mean stack a little bit. Mira, do you want to take a stab at that, so that we don't jump the gun here and then go straight into Cloud Run? Let's talk about the application overview for a second, and then just.
Yeah, so mean stack is a very, very traditional from maybe 10 years ago, tech stack for developing web applications, mainly web applications, although you can use it also for mobile applications these days. But what is the mean stack? So it's the letters, each of the letters mean a certain technology. M stands for MongoDB, so you're using MongoDB, the leading document database for storing your data. Then you have Express, and then Node.js at the end. So E stands for Express, N for Node.js, which are the backend technologies. So you use Express and Node.js to build an API, usually a RESTful API for accessing data. And where do you access this data from? Well, from your Node server. And finally, you have the A, which stands for Angular. And Angular is the framework or platform that you use for building your web applications. These days, you can use Angular to build also desktop apps and mobile apps and so on. But traditionally, you used to use Angular for web apps, and it's still the primary use case for this platform. So yeah, the mean stack, very, very traditional. A lot of people use it. A popular alternative is the MERN stack and also the MEFN stack, where basically Angular is replaced by React and Vue. And everything that we're going to talk about today is applicable to these frameworks as well. Basically we chose the mean stack because it's something that a lot of people use, and it's very easy to showcase how you can deploy it to a serverless platform such as Cloud Run, and how you can integrate the MongoDB Atlas serverless instances to make that part of the architecture also instantly scalable. And yeah, that's about it. Do you have any questions about the mean stack? It's a pretty easy thing to work with if you know JavaScript, because across the whole stack you're using the same programming language. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I personally am more of like a C# and .NET developer. I just touch JavaScript when I have to. And so like I've never actually made anything in Angular. My blog's hosted with React because a friend of mine made a starter template, and so I was like, right, okay, cool, I've got something to work with. So Angular's not something I've really worked with, but I've seen it used in samples, and even to someone like me who doesn't really do JavaScript, the mean stack doesn't seem too scary.
Yeah, no, Angular is the C# JavaScript framework. It's really, really similar to C# and Java as well. You have dependency injection. You're using types because of TypeScript. Angular was one of the first web frameworks that adopted TypeScript as the primary language that you use to actually build your applications. So yeah, as a C# developer, you'll be very, very comfortable learning Angular.
Yeah, I was always said to you, I need to learn Angular at some point, not because I have to, but just because I can, because it doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, we will make one of these just for Angular one day.
Yeah,
These JavaScript developers, that's how they sell it to you. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is my, I'm not a traditional like JavaScript or a main stack developer. I am comfortable with Java and I like it. It personally hurt me to do this, but I fell in love with how easy it was. And of course, working with Mira was like a piece of cake. So it was fun. But at the same time, it was good. It's pretty popular too. And I get asked a lot of questions around this mean and MERN stack. Every time I do this community events or anytime I talk to developers. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope, not anymore. We could. Yeah, you're muted for some reason.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's pretty popular. So I realized that we might as well just do it. And it turned out it was a pleasant experience. And as much as I love Java, we went ahead and did this anyway. So it's fun to talk about. On that note, to answer your previous question, Luce, can we go ahead and take a look at the architecture, the high-level architecture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got anything you want to show your screen, whatever, feel free. I can add it into the stream so that everyone can see.
Right,
Mark says that Rust is like Java but cool. I have nothing to say about that. My Java is rusty, so.
Yeah.
There we go.
So,
One thing about the MongoDB.
Yeah,
the MongoDB developer team is really opinionated about their languages. We've got specialists about like all the major programming languages, and yeah, everyone likes their own thing. So yeah, Rust is okay, Mark. Use it if you like it. It's fine.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is at a high level to represent. I'm still not going to talk about the application. We'll probably like what's the use case we have done. That's probably for the last part of this session we can keep. This is an overview of the components we put together to get this mean stack and Google Cloud Run together. So what exactly we have done. Just to give an overview of what Cloud Run does, it helps you deploy stateless containerized applications in a serverless platform. So that's exactly what Cloud Run does. And it lets you price even to zero, scale up and down even to $0 price. And it lets you focus only on development, and it lets you focus on the one thing that you'd like to do and not worry about infrastructure provisioning, secret management, and all that. I'll show in a minute how you can configure all that in your Cloud Run configuration. But what we have done here in our implementation is we did the server application in one container and the cloud application in one container. There are multiple ways to do this. We just chose this method. And for this session's purpose, we are going to stick to what we have done. And the server application is where we create the APIs. And the client interface is just a user interface where that was built in Angular, and that actually consumes the API that we built in the server container, and then it takes input from the user and updates the application. The demo also we can see in a bit. And then we use the MongoDB Node.js driver to interact between the containers and the MongoDB Atlas serverless instance, which can also be accessed from Google Cloud Console. So this is at a high level and very simple. 2 containers, both deployed on Cloud Run, use a driver, and the driver is interacting with MongoDB serverless instance. Now for the steps, I'm just going to show you. So in Google Cloud Console, just search for Cloud Run, and you will land on the Cloud Run page. And I'm already on the edit Cloud Run page, so to save time. So as you can see, you can configure the details that you want. You can provision whatever CPU you want to allocate. You can provide the capacity. You can set request timeout configuration parameters. And then you can provide environment variables. You can provide secrets, and then hit deploy. And once you hit deploy, you should be able to immediately, you will get the URL to the application. In this case, it's the URL of the client. We also have the URL of the server. So there are 4 steps. One is for Cloud Run itself. I'll tell you what the 4 steps are in a little bit. But once the server application is deployed, you immediately get a URL right after it's deployed in a matter of less than 2 minutes. Or even sooner than that. And once you get this URL, you can use this in your client application to consume this and send requests and receive responses, and you're only charged by the request and not by the time that your application is deployed in the container. So that's fairly at a high level how you do it. Just to show you a little bit of what are the 4 steps and all that. So let me go back to, why am I not, okay, let me go back to the screen. So these right here are the 4 steps that I was talking about. As you can see, with Cloud Run, you can just chill, write your code and chill, basically, because you containerized it. As you can see right here, you define your programming language of your choice, and then you define or list your dependencies. You provide the installing dependencies statement, and then you provide your start script. And 2 more steps. One is to package your container, and one is to deploy your container. So you can also deploy your container using a user interface that we just saw, or you can also do it from command shell. So that's pretty much it. Those are the only steps, and you're pretty much done with getting your application containerized and getting your application deployed in Cloud Run. Once that is done, you can you have a client application that you've already built. You can also containerize that, and like I showed you, you can just play around with your application. So at this point, I'd stop and see if there are questions. And then Mira, after this, you can probably show the application demo itself, and if there is anything on the code side that you want to show from the Angular or Node, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Do we have any questions? I don't think so. By the way, we can share the link to this blog post that we constantly mention.
Absolutely, yeah.
If folks want to check it out later. I probably won't do the full deployment demo. We already showed us how you can do that basically. But I can show you something a bit more interesting in Cloud Run that I was looking at today. I will share my screen, I think. All right, so yeah, I'm also in the Google Cloud Console, and I'm going to navigate to Cloud Run. Over here, you can always search for services over here, and something that people don't know is that you can use / to open search. You can actually see that here, but it's super handy if you like your keyboard shortcuts. So yeah, nerding out here with keyboard shortcuts. Anyway, so I have a few services deployed over here, and I was having trouble connecting to this application today, and I started debugging and trying to see what's wrong. So when I open the service here, I immediately see the error. So once I opened the URL, I got a service unavailable error, and this caused this error to pop up here in the metrics actually. So I can directly go and see where the error is, and I see that I have authentication failed, and that's because I deleted one of the database users that I have set up for this cluster. So that's pretty cool. And actually, yeah, after you deploy your services, you unlock a lot of really cool things over here in this Cloud Run tab. You can also set up continuous deployment. You can connect this to GitHub or other source control system and set up continuous deployment, which is always pretty nice to have. You have logs. Yeah, you can see all the requests that come in here. And let's see what's in the details tab. Yeah, you see who deployed, when. You can set up authentication, so this API can also be protected so that not everyone can access it. And yeah, it's pretty easy to work with, this Cloud Run thing. I usually do it from the Cloud Shell editor because that's how Abi told me to deploy services. So I usually just go ahead to the Shell editor, and this is it takes a couple of seconds to load. So in Google Cloud Console, you have the Cloud Shell, which is a virtual machine setup for you with everything you're going to need to deploy Google Cloud services. And you also have the Cloud Shell editor, which looks like VS Code, but it's built in the cloud. They use
That's awesome.
similar open source components such as Monaco and the language service that Microsoft used to build VS Code. So it's very handy. So I usually just go ahead over here, and in this virtual machine, I can clone different projects. So I usually just clone the project that I have on hosted in GitHub. And the main stack project that we always talked about is in this repository. You can find it in MongoDB developer mean stack example. I already have it, so I'm just gonna deploy, clone it to this other directory. Oh, this one exists too. So it's gonna be mean stack too. And yeah, now if I go back to the editor, you can see it here. You can actually use this for actual development. It's quite powerful. Well, not as powerful as your machine probably, but you can use it for simple stuff. You can go to certain files, take a look at them, and and use it. With Cloud Run, you can use Docker. So you're building containers, you're deploying them. So you can use Docker to package your project in a container and deploy to Cloud Run. And for this Express API that we have, the Docker file is really, really simple. Let's go over it. Like I said that I don't want to talk about the project in depth, but let's just go over the Docker file. So we are loading node 17. Then we're specifying a working directory for our container. We are copying the package.json file. Then we're running npm install. We're copying everything here, everything in the project along with the dependencies. Then we're building the project with npm run build. npm is something that JavaScript developers use to install packages and to run commands. It's a package manager, similar to pip and whatever everyone else calls their package managers in other languages. I'm sure the chat is exploding now with how this is called in C# or Rust. Anyway, so after you build a project, you can start the web service using the node command. So it's really that simple. And you have a working web service running on this URL that Cloud Run deploys it to. It's really, really straightforward. For the Angular application, which is a web application, we are using Nginx to start the web server. The Nginx configuration, I'm gonna admit that I'm not a Nginx developer or I really set up this kind of stuff. So this is a configuration that I found on the internet, and I modified it a bit to make it work with the Angular application. The main thing over here is the index file. So you gotta make sure you are using the correct index file. And we also have a Docker file for the Angular application as well. This part over here, super similar to the server Docker file. The only difference is, again, the Nginx setup. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we load Nginx with some version into our container. We copy the configuration. And then from the build directory, we make sure to copy our build web application. So the build Angular project to this Nginx HTML directory, so that Nginx kind of knows how to start the web service. And finally, that's how you start the web service when the container starts. And that's about it. That's all the configuration you need to make your containers work, basically.
Yeah, that's the 4 steps. Sorry, go ahead, Mira.
That's how you should modify your project, basically, to make sure it's containerizable. And then if you're using the Cloud Shell editor and not the Cloud Run service or product page, you can navigate over here to this extension. And here in a minute, it's gonna load our services. And yeah, you can actually deploy from here. And as you can see here, I see all my deployments. I can see details about them. I can actually open their URLs, configure them, redeploy them with change settings, and so on. So this is how you create a new service from this UI. You can also do that from with a single command using the Cloud Shell, as Abi mentioned earlier. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through the settings real quick. I won't actually deploy the service because I have a database, but I don't want to waste time with that. It takes maybe 5 minutes, and we can spend it spending. Yeah. Anyway, you got it. So yeah, server settings. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we are creating a new service. We have to give it a more meaningful name. I have no idea why this is set up by default to my full name. It's really, unreasonable. So yeah, it's the API. Or we can be more specific. This is the employees application API. Maybe two, because this might be taken. Then for deployment platform, we're going to use Quadron, and we are going to pick a region. I'm just going to leave this one. Naturally, you want to pick a region close to you and close to your database to ensure low latency. Then you can make it authenticated. So you might manage your authentication here with the Google Cloud Identity Manager. Did I say that right? But in this case, it's an API, so it's kind of all right to be unauthenticated. What else? We can skip all that. This is configured. For the advanced settings, you can set up the container port that you want to open up or that your service have to be running at. In environment variables, you can set up, well, basically anything you need. And I usually need the MongoDB Atlas cluster connection string here. I'm not going to put in an actual connection string because we're live streaming and I don't want to break any security policy over here. Then for build environments, the best thing is to use the cloud builds, but you have to enable that API. And I will show you in a minute how to enable APIs in the Google Cloud Console. And finally, the arguably most important part is to set up your build settings. As I said, we're using Docker, and this is going to automatically find all your Docker files. You just have to select the one you need. So in this case, we set min stack to server Docker file. And then you hit deploy. It takes a couple of minutes to deploy, having URL, and it works. We have a whole video coming out soon where we go through this step. It's going to be much shorter, and it's going to show you how to do all that. You can also follow the blog post, of course, and play with it. But yeah, that's how you deploy to Quadron. I mentioned,
simple.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mentioned the services. So how do we enable services in Google Cloud? First, you can obviously use a search and navigate to the service and enable it manually. Or if you want to be real cool and use the terminal, you can do it from here as well. Yeah, sure. And obviously, I don't know the commands by heart. So I have a little script here. So this is the command, gcloud. Gcloud is already loaded in your container or your virtual machine over here. So you're good with that. So gcloud services enable and the name of the service. And when you press enter, it's gonna be enabled. In my case, it's already enabled, so I don't get any output. You can also see what services you have enabled using the gcloud services list command. And you're going to see that we have a bunch of services enabled for all of our various projects. And that's everything I wanted to show in Cloud Run. We can talk a little bit about Cloud Run, and then maybe we can go back to MongoDB Atlas and why do we need actually a serverless database at all, and how does that play in the whole architecture that we're talking about?
So just one pointer to add here is enabling the service APIs. Of course, you can use the command, or there's an easier alternative like you used before. You can go to the console, search for the service, and once it shows up, there is an enable API button there. Just click that. That's another option to enable your APIs, easier option. In case you have not bookmarked your commands or the G Cloud command. It's pretty simple, but that's a simpler alternative. And another thing, I don't know if it appeared in the comment section, but I've pinged a G Cloud command to deploy rather than going through the multiple steps that you showed in the user interface, which is simple too. But you can run this one command to achieve all those steps that Mira was showing before. Is it showing up in the comment section?
Yeah, it's in private chat, so it's only us can see. So I'll paste it into the chat so that everyone can see it.
Okay, cool.
There you go. So
Yeah,
there's an example. I don't know how well it'll come out on YouTube, but there you go. For everyone, that is how you do it.
Yeah. So G-Cloud, run, deploy, and then you provide all the settings as arguments to the command.
Yes, I guess it's the name of the project, where to find the image, and then some other settings. That seems simple enough.
Yeah, all the configuration that she showed where she manually selected that from the interface is there in one command. It says it's platform managed, fully managed, and then I've chosen the same region, US Central, which she chose in the user interface. And then I've chosen allow and authenticated. You can also choose to authenticate. This is just for example. And then update environment variables, and then DB host, that's where your connection string goes. So that's pretty much about it.
Awesome.
And one last thing I wanted to talk about, which we don't usually talk about this, and it's not part of the blog, but I wanted to talk about it because every time I bring up Cloud Run demonstration, people always ask me about why you're not talking to us about Cloud Run jobs, because it drives a lot of interest, and I just want to address for 2 minutes, and then we can start with the MongoDB serverless instance. So let me share my screen quickly. Let me know if you can see.
Yeah, I will do as soon as it pops up. Hang on, it's just loading. There we go. We're back.
Okay. So Cloud Run jobs is basically giving a batch execution to your Cloud Run your Cloud Run instances, right? So basically, you can do jobs that run independently without having a user trigger, without having a user interactive trigger, or it runs to completion without having any intermediate interference or intermediate interruption. So basically, tasks like database migration activities, cleanup work, import and export, generating reports, maintenance scripts, or updating a field in a database table, or things like that you would do without any much of an attention, you can use Cloud Run jobs for it. Now, again, just as with Cloud Run, you have multiple ways to do it, the Cloud command line and the Cloud scheduler. I'll just show you where you can find that. Similar to what we saw for Cloud Run, go here, and on the next tab, you should see jobs. So right here, I click on Cloud Run. You see both Cloud Run and you see jobs right here, services and jobs. So in the jobs section, when I'm creating it, whenever it's available for you to use, you would be able to configure in a similar fashion. You should be providing your job name, select the region of your choice, like Mira mentioned, that's closest to your location or where your data is, or where the container is in this case, where you've deployed it, and then go for the variables, secrets, all the arguments, all the attributes that we defined for Cloud Run. Similar to that, you have to provide that here as well, and you have to provide the task capacity, the timeout times, the concurrency, like how many concurrent, if you want to limit the number of concurrent tasks, you can mention that here and all that, and you can hit create. It creates your Cloud Run job for you. So that is one thing I wanted to add, because it always intrigues people, like, how do we do this? Already Cloud Run supports concurrency. Like there is 1,000 concurrent instances you can run, multiple requests at the same time and all that without having to deploy it over and over again. So that's the advantage. But with Cloud Run jobs, you can schedule it and it will run to completion, and the charging is very similar to Cloud Run. It will only charge you for the number of requests and not for the time that it is running. So that's another thing that I wanted to highlight. Cool. Yeah.
It sounds like we've got lots of flexibility about how we do this, which is always nice.
Yeah. That's just something which developers think, okay, now I've got this running. I want to do this in batch. I want background jobs. I want things to run when I'm not looking. So yeah, we've got it covered. So that's why I wanted to highlight the Cloud Run jobs, which was new. It was just launched in this IO 2022. So
Sweet. That's awesome. And I think
yeah,
what's nice as well is just that like all of this can be done so easily, all from like a browser. So even if you're not at your computer, you can configure all this stuff and say something on an iPad. You just go into, open your browser, open the cloud editor, or whatever, and you can just, get up and running really easily from anywhere.
Yep. You can just, if you have everything handy, you can just select it. It's a matter of dragging and dropping and select your components, configure and schedule it. You can schedule
Yeah.
it. So that's, if I missed that word, scheduling is the keyword there. I don't know why I missed that. Yeah. So
which is awesome, because as someone who likes not only likes to plan things but also can be a bit like, inspiration will strike at very different times in different places. It's nice to know that this stuff can just be worked on wherever. As long as you can get to it, you can just work on it.
Yes, totally. Yeah. Mira, do you want to? I can just show how you can go to MongoDB from Google Cloud Console, or if you want to take it over and talk about it, that's fine too. I don't want to switch over and over again. So over to you, Mira. That's better.
That's all right. So serverless instances, MongoDB. Why do we need the serverless database, first of all? Well, we have this managed platform where we can host our application, which is Cloud Run. And by default, Cloud Run can scale our service up to 1,000 containers. So this is really nice. We can handle increasing demands really quickly. And we don't have to do anything, actually, because it's going to happen automatically. So if our application goes very popular overnight, Cloud Run is going to handle that load by scaling automatically. And this is perfect, but what about the database? So our application will multiply, and it's going to start sending a lot of requests to the database to fetch users or to get resources, to save new resources, whatever the application does with data, right? But traditional databases, and more specifically, relational databases, are not really built for serverless use. So they can't really scale automatically. We have to go there and provision a bigger machine, or provision more servers, if that's even possible, depending on the database. So we have to scale manually. And this kind of defies the purpose of using a serverless platform. There are ways to make that work with relational databases, but why do we have to go through all these hoops if we can just use a serverless database along with our serverless managed platform, which is Cloud Run? And basically, to solve that problem and to answer that demand coming from the business for an actual serverless architecture, MongoDB Atlas has introduced serverless instances. And with serverless instances, you get all the benefits that come with serverless technologies. You, first of all, you don't have to manage any infrastructure. You can configure certain things, but by default, you don't have to. You start with like a click of a few buttons and you have a working database. And when demand increases, Atlas is going to scale that deployment for you. You don't have to do anything manually. When the demand decreases, or people stop using your website, it's going to scale. Atlas is going to scale down your deployment as well. So you are always also, the other important part is that you're paying for the resources that you're using. And in this case, you're paying for the data you store and for the operations that you execute. So if you're not using your database, you won't pay a huge bill because you provisioned 1 terabyte of storage space, right? You're only paying for the resources you're using again. And yeah, it sounds pretty good. It has certain limitations because it's a very new concept, and it's a very revolutionary movement, this whole serverless database thing. Not a lot of people do that on the market. So I know that we had to reinvent how a lot of things work under the hood to make serverless instances a thing. And yeah, as I said, there are limitations. You can't use sharding for now, so you're limited to 1 terabyte of space. Because of that, there's some natural limitations that follow up. We have a whole documentation page that describes all the limitations, but there are certain use cases where, like, the serverless instances are actually really, really suitable. And yeah, I'm just gonna show you how you can create one. If you haven't seen MongoDB Atlas, you'll see it now for the first time. So this is the MongoDB Atlas user face. It lives on cloud mongodb.com. It's very nice. You should create a free account if you don't have one already. So I already have a few database deployments, but when you create your account, you're gonna see a big button here saying create a database or build a database. I'm not sure. So you'll
create a
have to click on
database, I
that
think.
button. Yeah, anything. Yeah, it could be something else tomorrow. So it's something about creating a cluster or a database always. So you click that button, or you could click create if you already have deployments. And then over here, you have to select serverless. You can choose from these three, so shared, dedicated, and we're going to choose serverless in this case. Here you choose your cloud provider. Obviously, you're going to choose Google Cloud. Then you have to choose a location that is close to, well, not you, but your expected customers. And if you're just developing a front project, something close to you so that you have lower latency. Then you can choose the backup configuration with the continuous backup. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so everyone sees what I'm talking about. With continuous backup, you have daily snapshots for 35 days, and it also costs you some money. That's why I'm going to choose the basic backup, and you have the 2 most recent snapshots backed up there. So you still have some backup happening. And yeah, snapshots happen every 6 hours. That's also nice. And you can switch the backup plans whenever you want. So you can just move to the more advanced backup setting. Then the only other configuration you need is the name. And here I'm going to say, okay, something like that, even though we're not
Best
going to use the
serverless
cluster.
instance name ever.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, you can see how much that is going to cost you. This little thing over here means that you're going to pay 10 cents per a million operations on the database, and you can read more about it hovering over here, or even better, going to the documentation page and seeing what you're exactly paying for. And something important about serverless, yeah, I'm just going to click create instance here. It's going to take a minute or two to create the instance. Yeah, this is the instance that's being created. And while we wait, I'm going to stop sharing. And we can talk about billing and serverless. A lot of people expect that when they're paying for the resources they only use, that they're paying less, and that may not always be the case. So if you're utilizing your CPU or you're talking to your database really often, like really often, then you might be actually paying more, and you might go with dedicated cluster for your Atlas deployment, or a regular server for your application deployment. So if you're utilizing your resources at 90 to 100%, maybe serverless is not for you, and you might end up paying a lot more than you actually want. To another option is to set up limits. So you can set, I want to scale only to like 10 containers in Quadron, or I'm not sure if you have that ability for MongoDB Atlas, but when you're setting up your serverless deployment, you can set up some maximum resources that you want to utilize, so that you prevent sudden spikes in your bill at the end of the month.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like,
about
it's always nice
bidding.
to have a bit of control. Because, yeah. Oh, you're muted, Abby. There we go.
Unmuted it. So one thing I wanted to, I don't know if Mira, you were planning on showing that. Do you also want to show Google Cloud launching MongoDB from Google Cloud, the same Atlas
yeah,
serverless
sure.
instance?
Yeah, do you want to show it? Maybe you have it at easy. I have the link, but if you have it open, you can share.
Let me see. Yeah. Sharing my screen.
It's cool that you can access from both sides.
Yeah, it's nice.
There we go. You can see.
So I'm gonna go back here and see if we have MongoDB. So go to Google Cloud Console. As always, search for the MongoDB Atlas. Pay as you go. You can access it from Google Cloud as well. So we have this actually has interested a lot of people who are especially have been using MongoDB also traditionally and who have recently onboarded onto the fully managed database as a service version of it. So we keep getting a lot of questions as to how we do it. I don't really, I mean, right now I'm not subscribed to directly create it and show you how to create an instance, but it's very similar to what Mira showed you. You'd be able to log into that from here straight away and then create your database, create your tables. I don't have that access at this point, but this is something you can do as well. You can run it straight from here, and the same whatever pricing that applies will also be available to you from this information as well. You have good documentation support if you want to take a look at that. So this is one thing I wanted to mention. And one last thing which I forgot to mention before about Cloud Runs. Sorry for switching gears a little bit here, but I thought this is something that may interest you, is that while you're deploying applications and while you're configuring and everything is taken care of for you, also remember that once you go into this demo, once you go into this containers, you also have the ability to access cloud monitoring, cloud logging, and even Prometheus related logging results and APIs that are available with that only comes with monitoring and logging. You can avail all that from this as well. So that is an additional thing that is inherently available for all your Cloud Run deployed applications. So you don't have to do any configuration separately just to get that information. And that's a whole new topic, like how cloud logging works, cloud monitoring works, and all with Google Cloud. And how you can integrate all of these things. Like you can bring in MongoDB on. So the reason why I brought it up right now is that if you're accessing MongoDB from Google Cloud and if you're using Cloud Run, you don't have to monitor MongoDB separately, Cloud Run separately. With Prometheus and cloud logging and cloud monitoring capability, you can bring all this together in a single dashboard. I'll show you how you can do that also in just a little bit. So just go here and do monitoring. So you can group all your resources together. So go to groups in cloud monitoring. I just created a demo group for some of the things that I'm using, like for instance, Cloud SQL. As I showed you, I'm not subscribed to use MongoDB from within here at this moment. But if I had that, I can have MongoDB and my application side by side, and I can compare if MongoDB failed or something in my container or in my application that failed, I can see it all in one place. So this is really cool because traditionally we are used to monitoring database separately and application separately, but this is where you can group all these things together and use the power of Google Cloud's monitoring and logging to your advantage to bring it all together. If you're
That's
using
awesome.
MongoDB from Google Cloud, yeah, that's another thing I wanted to highlight. Over to you, Mira.
Prometheus is a tool for logging, right? Do you have to do something additional to set it up?
Interesting. Actually, this really excites me because this is one of the things that I'm focusing on more recently. Prometheus is a monitoring and logging tool, a monitoring and logging service that you can. That's an external utility. But then we have it just like we have MongoDB support within Google Cloud. We have Prometheus access also within Google Cloud. But the best part is we are supporting, I think the database starts with an M. I forgot the name of the database. But the database is the Google like battle tested database that we have that brings in cloud monitoring, cloud logging data, and Prometheus data. It's all managed in one place. So you get everything together as a consolidated database for you. So that way it doesn't look like you're accessing it from multiple places. So the database is managed entirely by Google, but the services, the monitoring and logging service, is just like MongoDB. We are managing it within Google Cloud. So it's really interesting. I'm actually writing. Yeah, I have actually written a blog which is set to be published probably later this month, the last week of this month, or probably early September. I'll share a link once that's published. It's under editorial, but yeah, once that's ready, that specifically focuses on how to bring in Prometheus and the cloud monitoring database together to group your services in one view.
Awesome. I've popped your LinkedIn link in the chat so that people can follow you if they want to keep an eye out for that blog post when it goes live.
Sure. Thank you, Luce. Really appreciate it.
Right, this is interesting stuff. I know I used to work on a back-end team whose job was around like platform maintenance and creation and stuff. And so monitoring was really important. So knowing, we had to do funky stuff with the Raspberry Pi and all sorts of things to bring all these data sources together. So to know that you can just do it inside Google Cloud, as a former platform engineer, is very exciting.
Nice. Yeah. And it fascinates me how Mira started. I mean, yeah, I love MongoDB. I've been using that even before the serverless instances were launched. So I'm a fan. But it was fascinating to see Mira starting to use Cloud Run for all her applications since then, right, Mira?
Yeah, definitely.
So she's a fan now. So I'm glad I could.
It's quite easy. And I don't pay anything for it, so it also helps.
And I saw a comment section question about Java so this is the question from Harshit Mehta. He's asking, I'm intrigued in finding a name for the Java Spring Boot Tomcat stack. It's interesting because I did something similar, but not with MongoDB. We can also do that with MongoDB, which is also coming up. Mira and I are working on another project together. That one is not JavaScript. Yeah, that one is Java. And we are doing Spring Boot.
Just a bit of JavaScript.
Just a bit of JavaScript to make Mira happy. But yeah, that one is on Spring Boot, Harshit. So you'll be happy. I'll drop in a few links, but that's not MongoDB. That's using Google Cloud Spanner and Google Cloud Firestore as database sources. But you can, Firestore, you can just replace that easily. It's very similar to MongoDB. Like you can use that link. You can change the connection string and make it work the same way. So you can test it out. I can share the document, the blog, or the experiment that I did here. So that will answer the Spring Boot enthusiasts out there for using Cloud Run. So another thing is for Spring Boot and Java applications, you don't even need a Docker file. What we showed today in the demo was you need a Docker file if it's a JavaScript code. I'm not discouraging JavaScript folks, so please don't take it that way. I'm just saying if you're a Java developer, if you're using Spring Boot, then you don't need a Docker file. The way you package it into a container is using a gib command. So all you have to, gib is again a free open source utility built by Google. You can just use that to in one command you can containerize your application without having to use Docker file. So it's similar, but it's just less work. So yeah, that excites me.
Sure.
I'll send it to you.
Java's great.
Thank you. That's bad.
I like here in the UK, when you go to like university, Java's the language they tend to teach you on like computer science degrees because it's free and it's sort of enterprisey. And so yeah, the first language I really learned was C#, but then when I went to university, we started to learn Java. And so I still remember the first time that public static void main string args meant something to me, and I was like, oh wow, I can write this out now. Like, I don't know about anyone else in who's watching, whatever, if you write Java as well, but how many times as a learner that you have to, it's the same as C# actually, but they've got rid of the need to write it now, but you used to have to, yeah, you'd copy and paste it from every project because you just wouldn't remember what it was.
As verbose as it may be, it's still It sounds great. Anyway, I've pasted the two links in the private chat. I don't have access to the
Awesome.
comment sections if you want to.
No worries. You can drop them in, not a problem. I'll put them in. There you go. So that's.
Yeah, and that's about it. Sorry, Mira, I just took a few minutes extra. You can go ahead.
Well, it's
No,
fun
it's
to learn all
okay.
these things.
You can talk about Spring and Java. It's all right.
Oh no, please don't stop working with me. We had fun, right? We had a good time.
Don't worry, we have Java people here as well. Someone will eventually work with you.
It's like I like, as I said earlier, I'm not really a JavaScript developer, and I'm still like getting Mira to teach me different things. So, and we're still friends, so don't worry, it's fine.
JavaScript is fine compared to.
TypeScript
Yeah,
is
it's
better.
so
I'm just gonna
easy.
say it.
No, I actually in university here in Bulgaria. I'm not sure if it's still the case, but we started with C++. So I guess you were kind of lucky with Java, or not. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even remember anything from C++ now.
I remember
Yeah.
sitting on a train once writing some C++, and it was really basic, but because C++ is so complicated to people that do like object-oriented stuff like garbage collection and stuff built in, and variable storage and all of that. Yeah, the first time I wrote a working C++ file, it was like, literally, it was so good, I still remember it to this day.
Yeah.
It was either great or bad that you remember it till days.
Yeah. Mark is sharing that he also started with C++ at the uni.
Yeah, Mark Smith.
That's awesome. What other languages do people in chat learn when they were, whether not everyone has to have gone to university, of course. Tech's open to everyone, but what was everyone's first language that they learned?
I'm surprised no one's standing up for Python. I mean, come on, people. No one's fighting for Python in the comment section.
Come on,
Well,
Mark.
I think
We know you're there.
Mark likes Python. Yeah. I think it's more that it just wasn't what we learned first, I guess. I like Python. Mark was my first ever learning with Luce, and he was teaching me how to use Python and MongoDB, and so I like Python because I've got fond memories.
Mark Smith is saying he learned Java in his free time because it was exciting and new.
Oh,
It
dear.
is. It is exciting. It is not was. It is.
Are you being sarcastic? Oh, that was 15 years ago. Okay, yeah, now it makes sense. So Java was exciting in you 15 years ago. Agreed.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny, I've seen Java code recently, and like my Java's definitely rusty because it's similar to C#, but it does differ. And like just looking at this code, and I'm like, oh yeah, you can't just click run, can you? Like you got to compile the Java files and all this stuff. And it's like, why did I learn this? Like it's a good language, and I understand that millions of people use it, but I don't miss it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's too much effort.
It's all about, languages are all about whatever you prefer, isn't it? The best tool for the job, I guess. Whatever you're comfortable with is the best language for you.
Exactly. So one other thing which I wanted to highlight is that there's a couple of projects that Mira and I are working on, and Mira's also working with another colleague of mine on JavaScript. So I guess that makes her happy. But anyway, so the ones that we are working on, so we have one that has BigQuery part of it, MongoDB, and then we also have ML in it. So I'm really looking forward to having similar session for those two as well down the line. One is probably going to be in early to mid September, and the other one probably November or so. So we can have something planned for it, and I'd like for the audience to, if it interests them, to show up for that as well, because that's really very close to our hearts for both of us. So we had fun doing it. I can give a sneak peek into what it's about. It's going to be fun. It's about movie score prediction and all that. So we're doing that for the next project experiment together. The experiment is already done. We're just working on the last few reviews and getting it all sorted out. So it'll be published as a blog first, and then we'll do sessions like this. And eventually we have something else in mind. Yeah, but so I would request the audience to go check out the blog and also the site that has a link to the blog and reach out to us on Twitter or LinkedIn. And then Luce, you can also forward any requests or any questions that you may get our way. So if we have misspoke or said something that is opinionated, or if you feel otherwise, just feel free to fight anytime. we can have fun.
It's a very nice project. I don't understand a lot of the ML stuff, but after Avi explained it to me, I do now. So looking forward to working on that project and coming here again and doing a live stream. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yep.
And yeah, we will probably include a bit of Atlas search in that, which is going to be exciting. And I know that Karen, another colleague of ours, is doing a webinar on Atlas search on Google Cloud in September. I don't have the link for that yet, but definitely follow the MongoDB socials, and you should watch that webinar. Karen's really search expert, and Atlas search is a great product. It makes it so easy to integrate text search in your application or anything you need based on the data that is already there. That you should definitely utilize it if you're using MongoDB Atlas.
Awesome. I like search. It just makes things so much easier.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
I've just activated my Alexa apparently. How dear. That wasn't intentional.
Alexa is like, I'm done.
Yeah. The other day she got triggered because I laughed, which was really weird.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You should get a Google Assistant.
I have one. I just unplugged it and replaced it with an Alexa because a friend gave me a load for cheap when she moved house.
Well, that's a good deal, I guess. Luce, what are you working on right now?
Oh God, I'm doing loads of things. So one of the things on my radar actually involves JavaScript, funnily enough.
Everything does these days.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm doing a post at the moment. Well, I'm doing a written article and a video about Azure App Service. Google Cloud, about Azure App Service and using it with Node.js and MongoDB Atlas, so that you can have things hosted and running in App Service, but then have it talk to MongoDB and stuff. So there'll be one that's around like the data API, which is our way of, it's basically our driverless way of being able to access endpoints to do your basic create, read, update, delete operations, and then one with the actual driver. So whichever one takes your fancy, there'll be content for either, which is super cool.
Nice. That's interesting. Yeah.
It's good. And then obviously, I can't give up .NET completely. I'm also writing a book on .NET and MongoDB. So when I get sad over JavaScript, I can just write a chapter of my book.
That's exciting. That's very nice.
Did you say you're using Azure services? That doesn't interest me. No, just kidding.
I'm a Microsoft MVP, so Microsoft till I die.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you about that more afterwards.
No, it's good. Like it's just nice, isn't it? Like with our jobs, I'm sure it's the same for you, Abby. Like we get to work with so many different languages and platforms and frameworks and cloud partners and technologies.
Databases.
Database. There's only one database that we ever need to work with. It's great. We just get to try new things, learn new things, share that with people, and that's my favorite part of the job. Is just all the things that we get to learn and share with people.
Yep.
Because there's just so much exciting stuff that you can do with technology, and I don't even know half of it.
Yeah, there really is a lot. Maybe it was easier 25 years ago when you had just Java and I don't know, or Java was the cool thing, and then you had C++, which wasn't that cool anymore, and it was an easy choice. You just have to struggle and use C++. That's it. You don't have other choices.
I still I think the worst part isn't even the languages. If you go back that far, it's more like the tooling available. Like, could you imagine a life without autocomplete and compilation that tells you errors and
that's exactly what I'm behind Mira now for, because we want to enable that MongoDB index enables search in the user interface that we have built for the next project, which is that movie score. Because the few beta tests that I've done with a few of my friends, And people in the industry who like to see the movie score, are feeling like, okay, I can't type so much information. Just give me something simple. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm behind Mira now. Can you do this? Can you do the autocomplete with the MongoDB index-driven search? So,
Atlas search all the way, and even does fuzzy matching, so you can put typos in and it'll still understand.
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah. So I don't know if you have done the Solar Elastic or heard about Solar Elasticsearch that does the document indexing and keywords based on that. So is that something similar? The MongoDB
It is.
index space is very similar, is it? Similar
Yeah,
to the
it's
Apache
using
Solar.
Lucene. It's using
Okay, so
Apache
it's the same.
Lucene under the hood. Yeah, it's just
Okay, so it's
integrated
just the
very
same.
well with the
Okay.
document model. So yeah, you can have fuzzy matching. You can enable autocomplete very easily, um, and yeah, you can also have categories now. So if you want to enable categories in a retail app, you can do that with search as well. But yeah, stay tuned.
Oh,
Watch the
that's cool.
webinar that Karen's doing. It's a very nice product. It's probably, I don't want to say my favorite part of the Atlas platform, but it's really polished. That's one thing. It knows what it does, which is like search, and it does it well. So yeah, it doesn't
No,
pretend to be
Apache.
anything else. So it's
Yeah.
good.
If the underlying engine is the Apache Solar Lucene, then yeah, I'm a big fan. I've used Apache Solar extensively to build even web applications for some of the data management developers and analysts, because of course indexing is important for them. They are dealing with millions of data on a daily basis, and it just frustrates them if it takes a minute to load or something. So Solar based indexing really solves a lot of things. So I think that would be a cool feature that I'm looking forward to, Mira. If we can incorporate that in our next experiment, we'll have a lot more. Like we have the BigQuery, the AutoML, Vertex AI, the model registry part to talk about. But if we have the index as well, if we incorporate that, then that's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
It's
MongoDB
not
is
currently, yeah, it's not currently part of the blog. I think you can include that segment
yeah,
and work on that.
for sure. Yeah, MongoDB is a lot more than a database these days, and yeah, a lot of people know MongoDB as a document database, but with Atlas, it's really a platform that integrates this database that we have that is a first class cloud citizen, if I can say it that way, with a whole set of data services, including this really sophisticated search feature, including the GraphQL API that we use in a lot of our projects together as well, including the data API, which is basically a pre-built REST API that you can just connect to and use. um, yeah, we have a bunch of things in the platform that make application development really easy. So yeah, it has outgrown this database aspects a lot. um, it's
Yeah,
it's a
it's
nice
awesome to
product.
see. Yeah, like some of my favorite products that are part of our like developer data platform aren't even the database. We've got like
Yeah.
Atlas App Services, which gives you things like GraphQL, like triggers, so you can, and functions. So you could say like, hey, every time you create a new document from this trigger, call this function, and then that function could say, I don't know, stick a new document in a collection. So you could easily set up creating new users. There's authentication. We've got like a mobile database called Realm, which stores it locally but automatically syncs with your Atlas database. So you can share data across applications, but if you're on a mobile device or internet connectivity is like intermittent, doesn't matter. The local database will just take over. So your data and app's always working. Like there's just so many things that excite me about what we do. It's awesome. And it's always exciting to see the things that we can do with like cloud partners like Google Cloud.
Yep. It opens up a lot of avenues. And in this example too, what we've done is, like I showed before, the architecture. The first thing that I showed about the high level architecture, second thing I think, we've used the MongoDB Node.js driver, but we can also use the APIs. And I think in one of our examples, in the next experiment, again giving a sneak peek, we've used Google Cloud's Cloud Function as a service, but we've used MongoDB's API to directly. That is another thing we've used to get the data from MongoDB using APIs. I just wanted to try out the APIs and see how it works, and it was really cool, and that excited me. So I wanted to just point out we've tried out both, and I think you would use the APIs when it's a matter of doing point in time, like simple standalone applications, or some things that don't require multiple requests, and not it doesn't demand so much of heavy traffic. Then you can go for APIs. If you have and if your setup is in such a way that you can't build a full blown web application and you're just doing standalone applications, then go for APIs. But if you have a setup for web APIs, I think MongoDB also recommends to use the DLL, to use the library rather than going for the API. So that's, I think, if I'm not wrong, that if I think I got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and
you can
it's-
use a driver, which is the nice way to do it from a language environment. But if you don't have the ability to install external packages with npm or whatever Java developers are using, you can also use the data API and directly access your data using this sort of a REST endpoint, or you can use GraphQL, the GraphQL API, and it's already there in Atlas. So yeah, if you have a Raspberry Pi running and you're building something super cool with this this thing, you can use the data API because you can't really load a driver in there. But if you're building a Java Spring Boot application, you can use the Java driver, and the Java driver will make it so much easier for you to work with data.
Yeah, it's awesome. A friend of mine actually has got a Raspberry Pi that's attached to a bunch of sensors that gives him things like air quality and other details about his office. And he gets all the logs, he logs them into an Atlas collection using the data API. And then he can use charts on top of that to just point it to that data source, and then just create a really nice dashboard with loads of graphs and charts that just show information that he's been getting from those sensors.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
I can share the data API real quick over here.
Yeah, do it. We all love a bit of learning. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to show it. We already talked about it, but yeah, this is the cluster that we built. This is the serverless cluster that we have. We don't have any data in it, but we can use the data API with a serverless instance as well. That's what I wanted to say. And to enable the data API, you have to go, okay, my internet died probably. I guess you can still hear me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. Or maybe I was fired. That's how I learned by getting kicked out from MongoDB Atlas. I don't know. No, it's gonna load. Yeah. So this is the data API.
Sorry, Karen.
I'm still working here, I hope. Yeah. So we have data services and we have the data API. This is the endpoint that we get. I didn't do anything, so this is just, maybe you have to enable it first, but this is the endpoint that you have. And I have to select a version, and I already have it. So let's try something. I have given access to this cluster over here, so that's what we can try. Yeah, test your API. Cute. So as I said, I have the sandbox data source linked. I can select this database and then this collection over here. And I need an API key, so I'm not going to actually run the curl request over here, but you can run that. You always have to use a post request, but you can get data. It doesn't matter that it's a post request. Always you can get data, you can delete data, you can do any sort of aggregation you want. And it's super easy. It's just this is the only thing you need. You don't need a driver to actually do it. You have a pre-built REST API. And if you want to play with that on your own, you can also do that in Postman. You're going to see that there is a whole collection available when you press run it in Postman that is going to be loaded, and you can execute anything you want there. It's super easy to develop applications with this data API thing.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, you can also use it with serverless. You can use it with shared and dedicated clusters as well. And we have another webinar coming up in September, and Michaelin is going to lead that one. It's going to be solely about the data API, and I'm also looking forward for that one. I don't have
really
the I probably can find the link to that one, but if I can't, just follow the MongoDB Twitter account. You'll get notified that it's happening.
Yeah, it's worth following our Twitter account anyway, to be honest, because like there's so many interesting webinars like regularly on all sorts of things, whether it's beginning with MongoDB or whether it's data modeling or data API or search. I love how many different webinars that we do.
Yeah.
Because I learn stuff, I work here and I still learn stuff.
We all do. There's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use the data API most recently with Cloud Functions 2.0, Cloud Functions 2. I was trying out, I was trying both. So I was checking with Mira, hey, can we go try this out sometime? But it didn't pan out in any experiment per se. Probably the next one will have a small snippet of that. But I just was trying out Cloud Functions 2, which was also Google Cloud's recent one. It was announced in I/O 2022, the next Cloud Functions second version. So that's what I wanted to try it on. And I invoked MongoDB's data API from a Java application, standalone Java application from over there. You can also use a POM XML dependency and have the library included, the dependency included, but I just wanted to try out the data API as a standalone application, and it really was fun doing that. I enjoyed it. It's quick and
it's one of the feedback I get a lot from different people, because one of the most common things I've had, especially this year with Learning with Luce streams, is that my guests have come on and I've maybe been showing them how to use MongoDB Atlas with a product that they know about, like Blazor or Netlify Edge functions and stuff, and then to showing them how actually you only need like a library or data API endpoint and a few lines of code, and ta-da, you can store stuff in Atlas. And everyone's always had the same feedback about just how quick and easy it is to do.
Yep.
And I don't know about anyone else, but I'm a developer who likes quick and easy.
Definitely.
Of course. And what are the authentication methods it supports, Mira? Do you know off the top of your head? If it's okay, if not, we can go back and see the
data API.
Yeah.
You need an API key, so
okay.
you can generate an API key for yourself and use it.
So there's a question on the chat. Is there an entity framework adapter?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that one. I'm guessing not, because you don't need it, but I guess some of that kind of comes down to... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, there's an open source library that gets some of the same concepts from Entity Framework and applies them to MongoDB, and it's a wrapper around the driver. I'm gonna find that now. There was a talk at MongoDB World about that framework. I just don't remember the name, and I will share that.
Yeah, I'll try and see if I can find that talk, because all the sessions from MongoDB World are on YouTube, so should be able to find it. There's a lot of sessions.
Yeah, there'll definitely be library provider adapters for sure, because it doesn't have to necessarily be part of the product, right? It's additional supporting libraries that are just made available for different programming languages of your choice. So let me see.
Yeah, so it's called Mongo Framework. We will share the link to the video.
Yeah, I've got the link.
Chat.
I'm going to put that in. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, talking about MongoDB World, this is the biggest MongoDB conference, annual conference that we have. It happened this year, and the talks are on the YouTube channel. So if you want to watch them, you can go and watch them. And talking about conferences, we have Google Cloud Next coming up in October. So Abi, can you share a bit about that?
Oh, yeah. I don't have the dates at the top of my head, but follow Google Cloud or Google's Twitter page, and you can also follow my Twitter page on LinkedIn. I keep sharing events, or keep sharing things about talks, my talks and that, or other people. I mean, we have had some community developers as well who have contributed, and there is one person who was part of a developer community who's going to be talking, or who's actually working on the experiment. If it gets selected, they'll be talking in the Cloud Next as well on one of the experiments they got to do with some of the Google Cloud Services databases, BigQuery to be specific. And also, if anyone in the audience is interested, if some of you are interested to try it out, what we discussed today, like Cloud Run or Cloud Service or any of the other Google Cloud Service, and you can even take this, go to the GitHub repository and take a look at the example that we have discussed today, or go through the blog and see if you want to replicate something with a different use case. Please feel free to do that, and if you want to talk about it, or if you want to submit a proposal, please feel free to do that. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can see if we can find a forum for you to speak about that or to write about that. You can also feature in, if it gets selected, of course, in the Google Cloud's blog platform directly. And again, I think that would be the case with MongoDB as well. So yeah, feel free to do that, and reach out to me if it's something that interests you, because I always collaborate and I love collaborating with developers. There's like a bunch of people who've shown interest and who are currently working on some experiments, who's already worked on some experiments. They get some cool swags as well. I'm not trying to sell it with the swags, but I'm just saying it's always fun to get
Free socks.
things collaboratively. I was trying to not say that, Mira.
Hey, I got free socks at World, and it was great. They're comfortable.
Yeah, it's always fun to get free stuff. So yeah.
Sorry.
You mentioned the GitHub repo. Do you have a link for it?
It's there in
Yeah,
the blog
sure we do.
as well.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, go read the blog, everyone. You'll learn all sorts of things. You'll get the useful links.
Yeah. And if you go to the website, you can even get all our social links, Mira's and mine, and you can reach us out there. And if you want to collaborate or do some experiment or want to learn how to do it, you can always hit us up in our socials.
That's awesome. I might just do that. Let's do some fun things.
Yeah.
I just like experimenting and trying new things. If I have a random idea, I just do it. So it could be fun.
Yep. Would love to collaborate with you, Luce.
Yeah, I think we're all developers at heart, really. And so, yeah, we just love trying new things. And I'm sure chat's exactly the same. Like, we just have ideas for things. And like, one of my favorite parts of conferences and stuff is just watching other people's talks and just getting inspired by really interesting things you see.
Yep, definitely.
And it's one of the reasons why I love doing this stream as well, because every month, you know, when I have a guest on, no matter the guest, you all teach me something interesting and new and exciting. And it's just great. I appreciate it very much.
Let's see if I can get you to try out Cloud Run jobs and all that, and a little less of.
I mean, to be fair,
She already did.
Cloud Run. Yeah, I've already done Cloud Run.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
It was very simple.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And it worked, right? That's important.
That's important.
Yes, it worked. Yeah. But even more importantly, it worked first time.
Well, yeah, that's impressive even.
But that was.
We also.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I wanted to say that Google Cloud Next is online or virtual. I don't know what's the correct word this year. So you can go to the website and register or whatever they want you to do, and you can watch the sessions live or after they're on YouTube. So that's gonna be cool, because you don't have to fly to the west coast of the US to watch great content and meet with awesome people. You can do that online, which is nice. It's all right.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, in this day and age, virtual is always a winner. We can all learn new things and get excited.
Except when we are recording YouTube video. That did not.
What happened?
No,
You
not
didn't
this.
find it fun?
Not this one. This one is fun. I'm talking about not YouTube video. Sorry, recording a video to be uploaded in YouTube. So this is fun. I like live streaming. Remember, so Mira and I did the same thing for the same topic. We recorded a video I don't even know. I'm not even checking. I'm not even gonna look once it's live because I've embarrassed myself in it. But if you all
Sure
want
you
to create
haven't.
memes and have fun, you can please go ahead and you have my permission to create memes on that.
You were fine. You were good. And yeah, recording is really tough for
Recording
me.
is tough for
Yes.
me, for me too. You're always conscious and you're afraid that you're wasting other people's time. And yeah, no, it's too conscious.
I don't think about it like that. The thing you've got to remember is that people are choosing to watch it and they can choose to not watch it. So, you make the content, be happy, enjoy the process, because you'll be surprised how many people will enjoy it no matter what you think. And we're our own harshest critics. So I bet you that you'll be sat there going, oh, I don't like this bit. And then someone else either won't notice or just finds it really valuable.
Yeah, definitely. But I told my manager, I was talking to him and I was telling him that, listen, I did this. I'm not going to send you the link. Please don't search for it. I don't want he said, no, we're going to find it. We're going to make memes out of it and we're going to share it. Just mine, Mira. You're fine. Not yours. Just mine. Just my part.
I don't care
Do
anymore.
you know when the video is going live, or is it in the process at the moment?
Don't
So
tell
the
me.
beginning of September, we haven't decided on the date yet, and we have to check with our YouTube girl on that with JC. But we decided to make it go live in September. That's when most people are back from their vacations and holidays.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
I'll
yeah,
watch it.
until then, you can watch this live stream, which is going to be available as a YouTube video as well.
It is.
Or
It'll be available instantly. It will just live forever on YouTube.
forever, ever. Nice.
Well, I guess so, unless we choose to delete it. But there's no need to do that. It was great.
Yeah. Serverless is nice. You can try it out, and yeah, you can register for Google Cloud. And if it's your first, someone is saying forever and never and ever in the chat. Hi, Tyndall.
Forever and ever and ever. Not true.
Yeah.
Like I can work with a YouTube. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So about Google Cloud, go and make your account. If it's your first account, you can apply for the trial program, which is gonna give you credits or $300 that you can spend on Google Cloud services, and you can try Cloud Run or BigQuery or anything that we mentioned today, and it's gonna be basically free for you. And similarly, you can go and register in MongoDB Atlas and create your forever free cluster. Well, it's not going to be a serverless cluster, but you can play around with a shared forever free M0 cluster and see how Atlas Search works, try out the Atlas App Services, the GraphQL API, the Data API, and all that. And you can do that for free.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, like we have when you saw Mira creating the serverless earlier, you saw serverless dedicated and shared. Shared is what we call M0, which is our free forever tier, and it's just perfect for spinning up stuff to proof of concept and try out. Obviously, it's called shared because it's not necessarily going to have like dedicated resources. It won't be the fastest or whatever, but it works great. I do all my stuff as M0 clusters, and I've never had a problem. And the great thing with Atlas as well is that when you sign up, you don't even need to provide credit card details. So if you want to play around with Atlas, you can just do it for free, no commitment.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite part.
And for Cloud Run too, in addition to the $300 credits that you get when you sign up to Google Cloud and all that, you also get I don't exactly remember how many 10,000 or something like that requests per day that you can send for until you reach a specific limit. So I might not be right with the specifics of it, but on top of the free credits, you have some free requests also for some time. So you can take a look at the pricing section to get more details on that. I might not be quoting it right, but yeah, there's more to look at that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep you too much longer because technically I only booked out a calendar invite until now. But is there anything else you want to share? Chats or any other questions that you've got? I love this stuff.
Thank you, MongoDB who is handling the comment section. I mean, I really enjoyed how they
It's
interacted.
Luce.
Gave,
That's me.
huh?
That's
Oh, it's
me.
you. Oh, thank you, Luce. How did you manage to do that? Like, okay.
I'm just sat here like listening, enjoying, and taking it all in. I've got free hands to copy and paste.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot of multitasking. But thank you for that. Thanks for doing that. And please go to this sites.google.com/view/cloudrun-MongoDB to read just a little bit about us and also about the blog. Go to the blog and you can get the code and try it out. Reach out to us. And if you want to have your experiment featured and your experience with Google Cloud, or if I can speak for MongoDB here, both of those, if you want to have your experiment featured in both places, please feel free to reach out to us, and we can collaborate.
Absolutely. We love nothing more than shining a spotlight on amazing things our community does. And you never know, you may even end up coming on Learning with Luce if you want. Come and share your experiment and talk about what you learned and what you liked and what your plans are, if that's what you enjoy doing.
Yes. Yep.
It's awesome. Oh, there you go. So everyone's, people saying great talk. Thanks. Yeah. See, you both did an amazing job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having us.
I learnt loads, and I'm like, oh, I should try this. I should spin up a serverless, and I should get to talk to a cloud and do all of this.
You should.
So one downside, So one of the downsides of doing the stream is that, I'll go off the stream and then I'm like, oh, I should stop work now. But no, I'm going to go and play with this thing. So just let something new and cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both for coming, and thank you everyone for watching. Like, I should be back. Well, I might not be back next month because I'm going on holiday. Because I'm writing a book, I couldn't take my holidays during the summer. It's had to wait until the end of September. But at some point in next month or October, I'll be back. I don't know who the guest will be yet, but that's the best part of it, right? You just come and find out, and we learn something together, and I love it.
Or you can do a stream from the beach.
No, that's too. I'm not taking a laptop to the beach. I'm not doing it from my phone. That's just no.
Yeah, you shouldn't. That's good. That's good.
No.
That was a test.
You know me too well because I work too much.
Yeah, you do.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I will end the stream for our lovely viewers, but thank you for joining and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you, Luce. Bye. Have a great weekend. Bye.